All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We are about to get into another episode of Talk Soup. All right. Well, today I have a co-host, Kitty. Thank you for joining me this weekend. I know last weekend you were unable to. I held down the fort while you were gone. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. All right. So you and I haven't spoken yet, with the exception of a couple of minutes before we came on. Let's go into it. What did you think of Friday's episode of WandaVision, episode 3?
I really liked episode 3.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else from me?
No, well, I feel that this was probably, I mean, I think they're all equal in parts, but I would say that this is because we're starting to get a little bit more, it's like they're peeling back those layers a little bit more.
Yeah.
I felt this episode was probably my favorite of the 3
Well, of
so far.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. There was a lot more was given, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's
But
why it was,
still yet not.
and still yet not. Yeah.
I think it's safe to assume now that with what we got from this episode is that she is almost 100%, if not influenced. She's controlling this. This is her.
Well,
I think. I think that this is a given now.
I think that was one of my notes. I think I put
The fact she rewound time when, something seemed like it was going to interrupt her and Vision's kind of, lolly-da reality. And then this episode just now, where he's like, Wanda, I think there's something wrong here. And then she just edits it. Unless somebody else is editing that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I put it in my notes. I still am unsure if somebody is altering the reality or she's altering the reality. I'm still a little unsure about it. Yeah.
Okay. Now here's my other thing. I mean, everybody. There's not one YouTuber that I follow. There's not one, magazine site or not magazine site. You know what I mean? One of these comic book sites that I'll look up on Google or whatever. Not one of them don't refer to Catherine Hahn's character as Agatha Harkness. They all seem to think that Agnes is really Agatha Harkness, and she's the one, from the comic book line. She's the one, like she's a witch. She's the one that's manipulating Wanda in some capacity. Now, I feel that way too, but is that too obvious for Marvel to do since we all know it? We all assume that there's something up with Catherine Hahn's character. I mean, they're not even doing it subtle anymore. I feel like, and this last episode too, which was weird because, the interaction between Vision, Herb, and her, Agnes, where they're talking to each other, and then like Vision's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And even right before that, like Herb looked like he was malfunctioning, like he was going out of a loop, and he's like chainsawing the wall, and then she's talking to him, and then like he wants to tell Vision something, and she's like, "No, don't."
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird because if she was manipulating, the only thing that didn't make sense in that scene was if she was in fact manipulating stuff. Why does she look afraid for Herb to tell Vision, what's going on?
I don't think she's manipulating stuff. I think they're all, from what I'm kind of gathering, is they're all implanted in there to kind of mess up whatever's happening with Wanda, especially from what happened at the end. It was weird. You know what I mean? They seem like implants into Wanda's reality.
Well, Monica definitely was.
Right.
But my other thing is too, when Monica was placed in that reality, did she lose reality? Because it almost felt like she was also in a loop. Mm-hmm. She was also in her little thing, especially when we get introduced to her. What was it? Geraldine? When she's introduced to us as Geraldine, and and then they're doing that the magical act or whatever, and and that episode ends. But in this episode, it wasn't until Wanda says, I was a twin, and then she starts singing that like Sokovian lullaby,
Yep.
that it almost looked like that sparked something. Like, wait a minute, I remember what I'm supposed to know. Like your what do you call it? He died from Ultron. Ultron killed him.
But I think that's what it is. I think once they enter Wanda's reality, maybe something happens to their, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm gathering from it because it's just it's
It
I
is
don't
still
know.
weird. It is still weird because I feel
Yeah,
like when you think you uncovered something, there's
yeah.
still a question mark behind it. Because was Monica Rambeau or Geraldine faking this whole time, or
Mhm.
did something trigger that
Right. Yeah.
at that moment?
Yeah, every time you think you got something, something else just goes, "What the hell just happened?" Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the show feels very, very Truman Show, kind of thing. Where what's his face? Vision is pretty much. Wait a minute. Like he can tell like something's up, and
Mhm.
she's trying to. Again, I still feel like it's Wanda doing it. I think that's the direction that they're going. I mean, this very scene that's the background to us right now is you can tell like she's so in a cut scene we got from the trailer, which I'm hoping we'll see next episode to show you how she eliminated Monica Rambeau from this reality. Because in the trailer, you see her kind of throw her, like she pushes her out of the house, and then she manipulates the house to go back to and constructs it back to normal. That was in the trailer, and I don't know why I'm kind of confused why they didn't show that in this episode.
Yeah.
So you can see that she gets rid of Monica Rambeau that way. Monica Rambeau gets, uh, you know, pushed out to reality. I'm assuming that sword that surrounds her and stuff like that. So I'm interested to know how she's going to get if she is get implanted back in there. Because at this point they don't trust. Wanda doesn't trust her. So
Well, I mean, I have to assume it was Sword because it was like, well, especially when she was
yeah,
wearing
exactly.
symbol. Yeah, as soon as she wore, I was like, "What's she looking at the now?" Because I already know like that upside down cross. That's when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, she." I was like, "Wow!" I didn't even trigger that she was working for that.
I I'll
Yes.
be honest, I didn't even notice, and I had to rewind it. I watched it twice already. I rewound it because I was like, "Wait a minute, does that just show up subconsciously? Was that something that was part of her imagination, or was that there the whole time?" And it was. I never realized it while she was wearing it. I never realized it was the sword necklace.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think of the twins' the birth? Now, my take on the twins was that when she gives birth to the first one, Tommy, and Vision's the one that names him because he doesn't name him Billy. Did she always have twins in there, or did she manifest that because for Vision? You know what I mean? Because he allowed her to have Tommy, was Billy a manifestation for Vision? Like, was she always? My question, I guess, my short question is: was she always going to have twins, or was that moment? Um, did she make it happen because of before Vision, like the butterflies? Like she seems to be whatever she thinks happens.
Hey, that's a good point.
So I'm starting to like in the comics she has twins. We all knew she was going to have twins, but I feel like she manifested that for Vision. I think if Vision wouldn't have, let's say Vision would have just acknowledged the baby as Billy, jokingly, or she would acknowledge the name Billy. There might have been just one. I think I don't know. I mean, I'm not a writer. I have no idea. But that's what it seemed like. It seemed like again, sometimes women have twins they don't know, or there could be another one coming out. We've seen this in movies before, and oh wait, there's another one. But
Hmm.
I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't until he names the kid Tommy, and then she's like, "Oh my god, another one." And then she goes, "It's Billy." So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Because when he ended up calling the baby Tommy for her,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a good point that he
Yeah.
manifested it for. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
What do you think of the theories, which I think seem to have been debunked already, about Dottie being Mephisto? Do you think that's a direction they could go? Dottie looked to me in that scene where she cuts her hand. She looked frightened of Wanda. Like
Yeah, I don't think that she's Mephisto.
no,
But
I
I I think that the twins are probably I think that's a correlation to I don't know, because the twins are fragments of Mephisto. So I think maybe Mephisto does make some type of appearance in here, but
Yeah.
I don't think that Dottie's Mephisto. I never
No,
thought of that correlation at
I
all.
don't think so either. I do like the other theory that Herb is, but
Yeah, I like that. I was read I was like I was reading something about that, and I was like, that's kind of a cool theory.
I mean, some of these videos that I've been watching, the breakdowns, they're a bit of a stretch. You know, the constant hand use from Catherine Hahn's character Agnes. Even Herb does that thing. Catherine
Mhm.
Hahn's been doing she did that to the mailman. He's like, "Oh, don't shoot, don't shoot. I'm just a messenger," which I thought was funny. I mean, I feel like at this point, uh, to me, it feels the only thing they really gave us, and again, you seem to think otherwise, which I'm not saying that she's in full control. I really feel like because they said that supposedly in the comics, Agatha Harkness is the one that trains her to alter her reality. So she might have been shown how to do that, or maybe even given the influence of how to do it. But I feel like she's controlling the show now, and I loved. I don't know if it was done intentionally because she was still kind of doing this thing anyway with the baby. I think she was just messing with the crib.
Mhm.
Um, but when the show goes anamorphic, when it goes widescreen, it almost looks like she's spreading it and making it. But she's only doing that like subtle hand
Yeah.
gestures. But I love that scene when it goes complete widescreen and then and then it pans out to Monica Rambeau on the floor. Um, but oh man, I love the way they're doing this because it really is making you want to see more and more and know more and more.
But it was so like as soon as it started, like with how like they do each of the shows and it started, I was like, oh my God, Mork and Mindy. And then everyone was just like, oh, it had more of a Brady Bunch feel. But I didn't really get that from this
It
episode.
was it was so many things combined. So the layout of the house is very Brady Bunch.
The layout of the house was very Brady Bunch, but I
One
got
of
so much of a Mork and Mindy feel from
So
it.
I got Partridge Family. There is a little bit of Mary Tyler Moore as well. 70s Mary Tyler Moore with the opening credits. I got Partridge Family with the way the WandaVision was written out. And then the Mary Tyler Moore. Somebody pointed out that one of the opening credits to her show was the many just Mary Tyler Moore. Like how WandaVision was layered. Uh, they had that. There was a couple of outfits that she wore that actually was very Marsha Brady.
Yeah,
I think the one
I
where
got
him and her are dancing in the house, where she's wearing like the red stockings, but that like really long overall over it, something like that. In fact, I almost used it as a background. What other show influenced this? It was a culmination, and we talked about this. Well, I talked about this briefly in mine, but you also were talking about that in the chat. It's not going to be just, how like the very first episode, like that house layout was 100% Dick Van Dyke.
yeah.
But I said that I feel like the future episodes aren't going to be just one base show. It's going to
Yeah.
be a culmination because what I think is happening um, between the commercial breaks have something to do with her life, but I feel like the reason why these scenes, this genre, these TV shows are influenced is because this is what she grew up watching as a kid. I feel like that's why we're getting this style.
Well, that's another thing with these like commercials. They seem to be like reoccurring things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it seems like her memories are these ads are like reoccurring things that are happening. Like,
Right.
you know what I
The Stark toaster was supposed to be reminiscent of the missile that blew up and killed, her family.
mean? But even still, what this like, what was it? The
The watch,
no, this commercial
the
around.
soap,
Yeah, it was the soap, and it was like escape to a world
right?
of your own reality or something like
Yeah,
that. But it had like I think the same actors were in it from a
same.
previous
It's always the
commercial.
same actors, and they're
Always the
rumored to
same
be.
actors.
The
Yeah,
theory
so
is that that's her. Might be her parents. That's
yeah.
another theory that's going around.
So I think that's also something that's really cool that it's like a reoccurring role in
Yeah.
these commercials. So it's something like triggering her brain. I really like that too. I like that.
One YouTuber pointed out. Now I don't know because I don't watch Shield, but apparently in Shield, the character Phil Coulson mentions Hydra soap. He said, yes, they've been using blue soap. He goes, I make my own soap now. but they were using this blue soap to manipulate you and make you think you're everything's okay when it's not. Like it manipulates your reality. So the blue soap was actually mentioned in Shield. So I don't know if that's just an Easter egg to Shield, or they're just bringing that from that, because it's all intertwined, it's all the same universe, and they're
Mhm,
bringing that into WandaVision. But
mhm.
apparently, the blue soap has already been mentioned. But yeah, so I mean, as I said, there have been a lot of theories, between who's Mephisto, who Agnes really is, who's calling the shots. Again, I could be wrong, but at this point, I feel like Wanda is the one that's in control, and she's becoming more. She's being put more into the forefront of this, and I think by the end of the series, I think she's going to be evil. I honestly think that that's the direction they're going. And
Mm.
and I would like to know what really triggered this instance. What triggered this? Was it the death of Vision? Because you know that happened in Infinity War. We got Wanda in Endgame. She seemed to be mourning. She was with um Hawkeye. She was with Hawkeye at the after the funeral scene, and they're both reminiscing. He's talking about Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. I almost said Scarlet Witch, and then Scarlett Johansson. But he's talking about Black Widow, and he's like, I wonder if she knows. I forgot exactly what he said, but I wonder if she knows that we want, or something like that. And Scarlet Witch says that I think they both do. Something like that. So something of that nature. Again, it's not word for word of a quote, but you can see that they're both kind of reminiscing and mourning the loss of both of them. So I just don't know how you go from that scene in Endgame to this. So something had to have happened. Uh, but really quick, we have a comment. What's up, dude? Sorry I couldn't join earlier. Don't worry about it. This was only going to be a quick episode anyway. But so yeah, so again, and I was just talking to Katie off of before we started. I had no idea that these episodes had titles. Apparently, episode 1 was called Live Before a Studio Audience. The second episode was Don't Touch That Dial.
Touch.
And this episode was Now in Color, which is cool because I would like to have put that in the title of these shows. But I had no idea. I was just calling them episode 3.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to episode 4. I
Yes.
really want to know what the happening. The only gripe that I've had so far, and we talked about this briefly too, was they're too short.
They are really short.
They're
Yeah.
just so. I mean, I'm happy we're getting 9 episodes because originally it was supposed to be 6, so we were supposed to get 6 hours. So maybe 9 hours at 30 minutes or whatever. I mean, 9 episodes at 30 minutes is similar. I have no idea. I can't do the math, but um, why are the credits? They get me because what they're
4
doing
hours
is,
long.
from an MCU fan, we're so trained to go, oh, there's got to be something after the credits. There has to be.
There's
And
nothing.
they're watching 8 minutes and you're just watching the cast and all the crew in all different countries. And you're like, oh, come on. What's Jedi's theory? My theory for the show is that Wanda has created this pocket reality, and people like Geraldine was an infiltrator and trying to perhaps stop Wanda from destroying and take over the minds of the citizens. And somehow these people know, hence we're all trapped. And I also think Agnes is evil. Well, that's pretty much what I was saying. About I think Agnes is a manipulator in some aspect, whether she's Agatha Harkness or not. And yes, Wanda has created a pocket reality within a real town that's been established. That was an actual town. Um, and there are these people, all players. They're all trapped. I mean, the doctor kind of mentioned, you can't really escape small towns. I think Herb was about to say we're all he could have been saying anything, but it looked
Mhm.
like he was going to say we're all trapped. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's what Monica Rambeau was there for, was to infiltrate her, to kind of like calm her down and bring her down. People know that she is, especially Sword. They are privy to her powers. They know how strong she is. I mean, yeah, Ralph is no way real. There is no way Ralph is real. She keeps mentioning Ralph. We have never seen Ralph.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She
Uh,
keeps mentioning Ralph,
I
and I'm
love
just like, "Where's Ralph?"
I
Yeah,
love that the line where because the power went out. He goes, "Well, Ralph looks so much better in the dark."
yeah, yeah,
I love her one liners. I really do love Catherine Hahn. I
yeah.
do.
Yeah, I do too.
But okay, I just wanted to come on here really quick, talk about this, but I really am looking forward to episode 4. Guys, let me know what you thought of each and every episode so far. Which ones have been your favorite? Which one's your least favorite? And what are your theories? What do you guys think is going to happen? And what do you think is going to unfold in the next 6 episodes? Because we have 6 more to go, which I'm excited about.
So I do have like one theory though. Her
Yeah,
outfit though.
that's what this show's for. Do it.
Geraldine's outfit though. Did you catch that? Do you think we're gonna get the Spectrum version of her in this show?
Now, explain that to me because I don't know what that means.
Because Geraldine, she took over Carol Danvers' power and she was Captain Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Well, she also has changed her name a few times. Like she was Photon, she was Pulsar, she's Spectrum in the end. Like right now, she's known as Spectrum.
Okay, I had no idea.
So I'm like, what version of Monica Rambeau are we going to get in
I
this
understand.
series?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So I don't think we're going to get the version of Captain Marvel because she was in the, she that's the whole correlation we have with her inside of what Vision and Wanda. She was in the Avengers.
Yes. And that's the only thing I know her from. And my other question, I guess my question really quick to you is what are her powers? Does she have powers?
Yeah, she's got the same powers as Carol Danvers.
So why didn't she use them?
But that's what I'm saying. What is her aspect in this show?
I didn't
Like,
even
is
think of
she
that.
working for Sword now?
Yeah.
Like,
That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense if she was.
Yeah.
Because Carol Danvers was working with Nick Fury and Shield.
Yeah.
To some degree. And from that Easter egg we got of Nick Fury up in space, it looked like, and it was assumed and theorized that he was with Sword now, because they're in space and he's part of a bigger whatever. But my question is, and I never even thought of that while I was watching the show, and I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot that Monica Rambeau actually becomes those characters.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of power, and I'm actually asking legitimately, what kind of powers does she have, and why was that not used in that reality?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying she would have been able to best Scarlet Witch, but I'm just saying there was nothing used.
That's why it was like a weird thing. If everybody thinks that she's actually Monica Rambeau, and I'm just like, well, I just don't understand the correlation behind this. You know what I mean? Like there were no powers. Is she working for Sword? I don't understand. But
I don't know.
She was wearing the same type of colors, looks like from Spectrum. So there could be a correlation there. I don't know. These are all like weird unknowns to me.
And so to just get really quick on the Jedi's what he's been saying, and it's true. They were pushing children from the very beginning. When Agnes was saying, do you have children yet? The town kept saying for the children. They were definitely trying to manifest that to her. Apparently, I think that the giving birth of the children, but if it's done in a pocket reality, obviously they're not real. So I don't know how that correlates, but it's almost like an offering to Mephisto, because isn't Mephisto supposed to? Aren't these the seeds of Mephisto? Or there's something, I forgot what it was in the comic book line, but like they're the souls of Mephisto or something like that in the House event. I can't, honestly, I really can't keep up with the comic books and this. And I'm not saying that what they're doing in the comic books is what's going to translate into the series. MCU likes to change things around, but are these kids, like, what was, if that is the case, and if the manifestation of these children was for her to give birth, for what? Is it for Mephisto?
I don't know. I don't know. These kids are.
I did. You know how I did, but you know how I realized that when I was looking at the IMDb credits, because I wanted to see if it was true about Randall Park's character, Johnny Woo, being the voice of that guy. If I wanted to see if it was mentioned in IMDb, and it said in the IMDb credits that the guy who plays Mr. Hart was only for 1 episode, and Mrs. Hart was in 2. She's not going to be in there anymore as well. Sorry to spoil that for you, but apparently, Deborah Jo Cup, is that, or what is it? What's the actress's name? The woman from that '70s show, the mom, Kitty.
Is
I
it
think it's Deborah Jo. I'm sorry if I'm messing up the name, but the actress that played Mrs. Hart was only in 2 episodes. So she
the
was
one
in the
from
dinner
Maximoff?
episode, and then
Okay.
she was in that town hall kind of thing with Dottie, watching the magic act and stuff like that. But all right, yeah. So I'm glad you brought up the Monica Rambeau because I totally 100% forgot about that character because remember I only knew her. I knew her from the little kid she was in the beginning of
Right,
Captain Marvel,
right.
and then we see the adult version of her in. Didn't we see her before, or is this the first time we're getting the adult version?
What do you mean?
Is this the only time we're getting the adult version of Monica Rambeau?
I think so.
Okay,
I don't think
all
I've ever.
right. I thought she was in another movie. I
No, we've
thought
we've only seen her in Captain Marvel, I believe.
okay. All right. All right. So yeah, so again, I this is the first time I'm really seeing the adult version of Monica Rambeau, and I really don't know much about. I mean, I didn't really even know much about Captain Marvel or her character, her character arc. I knew that there's a couple or at least two. The whole Mister Marvel, like, it's just very, to me, it's very confusing because
It is very confusing.
Mister
It is.
Marvel was a DC character. And they made him change it to Shazam. So or is it Captain Marvel?
Sure.
Captain Marvel, I think, was Shazam.
It's Captain Marvel, and they made him change it to Shazam.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm a little. Anyway, but I'm gonna stick to WandaVision.
Stick to what we know.
I'm like,
Stick.
but wait a minute. But why is Spider-Man shoot webs? Any other theories? Any other questions you have?
No, yeah, that was the only one that was still like a question mark to me. I was like, these two people could use their magic in this reality, but then everybody assumes that she's Monica Rambeau,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, just this big question mark around me, and I just don't understand it.
Now, what I do have one other quick one. What was it just for comic relief, or what other kind of like maybe possible deeper meaning was behind the stork? The stork coming to life. How did that happen? And why couldn't Wanda make him disappear?
That's a good question. I no clue. And
Like
it
he
was
couldn't.
really weird, like the whole red, like she kept. What did she use her mag? She used her magic, but and he kept
Just
reappearing in different areas.
no, no, no. So she tried to cover it with like a red smoke, which another YouTuber was also comparing these two to the Wizard of Oz. Subtle,
Mhm.
very subtle things, with the witches and that red smoke or whatever. That's what the witch used and stuff. In the Wizard of Oz, she was just basically trying to cover it with this red smoke, but he just flapping his wings and then making it disappear. That's it.
I assumed she was using her like magic to like make him like move places.
No,
I didn't know that she
no,
was using
no,
red.
no. He wasn't budging. She couldn't control that stork.
Yeah.
There have been rumors that the stork was Mephisto. That can make sense. That I mean that's one theory. That's actually a pretty cool theory. Keeping
But
tabs.
it was really weird because when he was in the room and she saw like Geraldine saw him, like all of a sudden he turned still. I'm like, who did that? Did she control him to make him go still? Why couldn't she do that in the first place? It was
No,
all just a weird
I
thing.
know, but it seemed like the stork did that on what do you call it? He did that. But however, he was looked like he wanted to be seen, like he was gonna eat her pants because they had a
That's
fish
what
on him.
I'm saying. So it was like the whole thing was just a whole weird layout. I
And he
didn't
was
understand
controlling
it.
Westview, so Wanda could not make him go away. That would make sense. That makes so if Mephisto is the one controlling it, which I think. So this, I guess, this goes back to what I was saying before. Then maybe Wanda isn't in control.
I don't think she's in control. I think she's trying to, from my thinking, is she's trying to take it back, take parts of it back,
Yeah,
take parts of her reality back. Somebody's controlling it. She's trying to take parts of it back, and she can't. At least that's from what I'm understanding. But I could be completely dead wrong. I don't know.
that stork being Mephisto though, that actually that does something to me. That's really because it would make sense because a stork is the one that supposedly delivers babies and brings babies to you. And if Mephisto is the one that is giving these babies to Wanda, to I guess kind of like have him so he can get again, I don't know. But wow, I like that. I like that a lot because again, it would make sense why she couldn't control the stork. I mean, don't get me wrong; those scenes were hilarious. But what about also too? Like, she's giving birth. The vacuum is going. The
Mhm.
paint portraits on the wall are spinning.
That to me, so in that when I was so I had to go around and think about that because one of the kids as well is also got Wanda's powers in the story. So one of the kids is Wanda's powers, and one of the kids kind of have
mixed over.
her brother's powers,
Yeah.
right?
So you got Wiccan and Speed.
No, Wiccan and Speed.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, I wonder if half of that is the baby's kind of controlling what's going on as well, not just Wanda.
that's possible. That's what happened in the comics. Mephisto took Wanda's kids, and she went mad for something, and then I think she's in big control. Yes, that's what I was trying to remember. But there was something about Mephisto's soul being implemented in the children. I have to read the comics. I have to read. I have to, or not the
It,
comics. I have to read that storyline more.
it was just, from what I remember, the twins were fragments of Mephisto.
Yes, fragments of Mephisto. Exactly. Yes.
Yes. So, but then way ahead, they became real and they were a part of the Young Avengers.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's like that's a
I
whole
know.
convoluted storyline. So
I
it's
mean,
just
I think that's what I think they're setting that up. I think they are setting up the Young Avengers at one point. With the other characters that have already been brought to fruition. With Hawkeye's daughter,
oh
uh,
yeah, I love
Ca-
Hawkeye.
Cassidy, not Cassidy. Is it Cassie Lang? Who's
Every time
Ant Man's daughter? Is it Cassie or Cassidy?
I think it's Cassie. Is it?
Either one. So she's going to be a Young Avenger. Like they're all going to be Young Avengers. But anyway, these are really, really good questions, but I really do love this whole stork thing. I kind of want to do a little bit more research now.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. Because I didn't really understood the stork thing. I thought again, I was just like it. I thought she was like trying to move him. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand
No,
what.
she was just trying to, but
Yeah,
make him. But wouldn't Monica see that, or Geraldine see the cloud of smoke? I
it's just
mean,
like
just
a weird scene to me. But I was like, okay. I mean, it's funny enough.
and then all this stuff is happening. Like Vision, Cassie Lang. Thank you, Finley. I knew it was either Cassie or Cassidy. Like Vision has no. The other thing too with Vision is like he's using his powers and whatever in front of everybody now. Like he doesn't even care. Like he
He's
walked.
sad with
He did
it.
the
Yeah.
speed run with the doctor.
Mhm.
He was trying to basically let everybody see that during the magical act. He was trying to like reveal stuff.
Mhm.
But what was my point to that? There was a point I was going to say to that, and I forgot. Shit, I forgot now. Why was I? Why was that a point? Oh, but none of these. No, that's my point. Because Monica Rambeau saw what was going on in the house while she was helping, give birth to the children, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sure there's going to be an explanation for this, but we'll wait for that later or something like that." Like none of these people feel like anything is out of the ordinary, which is weird. When Vision, goes into Mr. Hart, pulls that whatever out, and they're like, "All right, well, thank you for a great dinner. We're about to leave now. You're going to get a promotion on Monday."
Mhm.
The doctor, he goes, "Oh wow, we didn't even run. It felt like we were flying." Like
Yeah.
all these things are happening, and none of them feel like anything is out of the ordinary either, which is
Mhm.
weird.
But I think they feel that other people feel that they're extraordinary or out of place because they've
Right.
mentioned it a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes, I agree. Thank you, Finley. Thank you for the stork theory. It really is very interesting. It is. And again, that's why I brought it up because I felt it was either for like a comedy or a comedic relief, that really funny, whatever, or there's a deeper meaning behind that. Like what was the point of that store coming to life?
Yeah.
Because I don't think she manifested that. She definitely manifested the butterflies when she said fluttering. But no, that's really cool. All right, guys. That'll be it for this episode. Of course, next weekend we will do a reaction to episode 4, which I can't wait. Hopefully it's a little longer, but it's it's pretty much going to be about like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. And any other theories you guys might have, drop them in the comments. Please don't forget to like this episode and subscribe if you haven't already for future content. Kitty, thank you for being with us this weekend. What's your schedule like next weekend?
Same.
You're not traveling yet?
No, we're not traveling.
Okay. All right. Well, I will see you guys next weekend. Thank you for being with us for another Talk Soup, and I will see you all next weekend. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.